What's up, you guys? Damn right, I got knives here with another DRIGK Live. Gonna say it again. You can find all this stuff on YouTube later after it posts. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one for sure. A lot to talk about. I kind of feel like we're gonna have Jimpy on here in just a moment. I've had this knife for quite a long time now, and this little guy to go along with it. Let's see if Jimpy's on here. Oh, you are. Good. Let's just hop right in. Let's just go for it. He's there. What's up, Zucchini? Hey, everyone. What's up, Modern?
Hey.
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing? Nice. Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for being on here. I appreciate it.
This should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of trouble we can get into. I'm going to turn up my volume. All right. If anything sounds... Oh, gosh. Just about dropped that. Yeah, hopefully our connection's good. If anything gets too weird, we'll deal with it time. Cool. So, yeah, where do you live?
I'm currently living down in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you were born or grew up? Or what's your story?
I was born in New York.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then to Florida?
Then to Florida, and those are the only two places I've been.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
East Coast boy.
Yeah.
Are there other flippers or makers around you? What brought you down to Florida? Did it have to do with anything related to what you're doing?
No, I moved down here back in like 2010. It was mainly just whatever my parents decided they wanted to do. So they moved down here just because the economic situation up north was not too good. So we just decided to move down here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there other makers or flippers around you that you're friends with and hang out with or see?
There's a couple that I've met through Instagram, but we haven't really organized a meetup or anything because we're all just scattered throughout Florida. But I've converted a couple of my personal friends into flipping, so that's fun.
Cool. Now, how old are you? You don't mind me asking.
23.
Awesome, man. I love it, man. So many young makers. It's really, I think that's a real inspiration. It's cool how dynamic especially the balisong community can be in that realm. You know, you got really young new makers that are doing new things that weren't thought about, and that's kind of relates to some of what you're doing as well. So I mean, largely a lot of the products that you're doing are pretty innovative. I'm going to try turning down. I don't know if it's there we go. Maybe that will help a little more. It's distracting. So yeah, cool. So, do you flip and collect knives yourself?
I do. My collection is pretty pathetic right now. I mainly just kind of have my own personal prototypes and stuff that's taking up all the space in the case, you know?
Right. You must have a nice case of your own products that a lot of people would probably love to get their hands on.
Oh yeah, no, I know that. I have currently, I got a Kraken, Bowie Kraken.
Nice.
51 with some Space Invaders on there. So
is that Kraken? Is that Kraken the Blade Show West special?
I have no idea. I got it secondhand.
I think it's the Blade Show West teal. Yeah,
is that teal. What it is? Oh, sick.
I think so, unless they printed up more. But I think that color was for Blade Show West.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
And then Space Invaders. I've yet to get my hands on those. I've never even owned a 51. And I was like, the only way I'm going to do it is if I can have Space Invaders, because otherwise I kind of don't want the knife.
Yeah.
Now you don't make them. What the heck?
I know. I've been slacking on those, but they're going to be coming back this year, hopefully. I'm still working on building up my my shop and getting my machines up and running and stuff. So that's probably one of the first balisong projects I'm really going to hit hard on once everything's up and running. That's the plan.
I'm sure you've been busy and doing other things. I'm not holding it too against you, but
No, that's good. No, I know. I've been lacking. Listen, I'll admit to that. I take accountability for my actions.
Oh, I don't know if it's called slacking off, but all right. Well, I'll let you determine that. Let's see. How did you start your journey in knives? I mean, I know it came from other things before, but speaking way back, maybe when you were a kid, do you remember ever being interested, or was it more of the fidget factor as a kid than knives?
It was kind of a combination of both. I can tell you exactly when I first discovered balisongs. I've always wanted a pocket knife as a kid, and my parents were very strict, and they didn't want me having pocket knives. I don't think I was able to have a knife until I was like 16 or 17 or something. Okay. So it took a while, but Team Fortress 2, the video game, the spy character, he has a balisong. And I saw him doing the tricks. I was like, whoa. I'm like, dude, I got to have one of those. So the first balisong that I've ever had, I took a key, like a key that didn't go to anywhere. I drilled 2 holes into it, and I took lead pencil, like lead containers, and I cut them to make like a channel handle, and I pinned them together using a paper clip. And that was technically my first balisong. You couldn't do anything with it, but you could do like the basic open and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like ever since then, I was like, you know what? I like this. I want to keep, flipping. I want to keep getting into this because this seems cool.
So was it always the idea with Jimpy was to make balisongs from the get-go?
No. So how I got into just making and selling and starting my own brand was through thumbchucks. So because I wasn't allowed to have a knife, I couldn't have a balisong. So, and I was also in like middle school at this point. So obviously, even if I could have a knife, I couldn't take it with me to school and flip and do stuff like that. So I came up with the thumbchucks. Actually, I made them out of like Bic pen containers, or the barrels of the pens, and I used there's like ceiling fan chain that I got from ceiling fans just hanging around.
Why wouldn't you?
Made some little nunchucks, and I took them to school, and I was playing with those, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I did first. And then years went by. I think it was early on in high school. I decided to post it on Instagram because there wasn't too many options for something you could flip out in public without getting dirty looks or getting the cops called on you or something like that. So there was really the Balio by Spyderco, and that was about it.
Oh, yeah.
And to be honest, it just didn't do it for me. I had a couple of them. They would always break, and I was like, there's got to be something better. And I always just had more amusement from the thumbchucks. So I kind of pitched it on Instagram, just took a shot in the dark, didn't think it'd go anywhere, saying, hey, this is something that you can kind of substitute for something like a Balio or something like a balisong trainer that's a little bit easier to pocket, take it anywhere. You shouldn't have any issues because it's a toy. And it just kind of picked up traction, and I just started making them and selling them in small little, whenever I had chance after school to make them or on the weekends. And it just kind of like ramped up from there. And then I just looked into more products to start making and just dabbling in everything I felt I was interested in at the time. And then eventually it became balisongs. So that's where I'm at now.
Nice. And still making some of those other products too, right?
Oh yeah, no, I haven't given up on any of them. A lot of people love the thumbchuck still. That's been around since the beginning, which is really cool because it's kind of like a reminder where it all started. And beglery beads, I've done EDC gear, not too much, but I would like to get into that more as well. But the big focus is without a doubt balisongs, and who knows, maybe folders, maybe fixed plates, stuff like that. Just knives.
Have you, knives in general. I started with collecting pocket knives, and then was like, oh, I should get a balisong, and then the rest was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Here I am flipping a 10. Yeah. Okay. So is there? And somebody asked me this, and I was like, I don't know. Is there a trainer for the Sentinel, or like do you have a balisong trainer at all, Jimpy?
Nope, I've never done
I didn't think so.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
But it's in the queue. That's something that I definitely want to get working on. to help
I would
out, you know.
assume you, if you were interested, you probably would have already, because you kind of make a lot. You have a lot. I was looking through your stuff, and you've kind of gotten into a lot of different things, and I
Yeah.
think that's cool. Like the Space Invaders. How did you think of that?
Well, I had a 51. I had a couple of them, and I saw a lot of opportunity in the platform. Like when I saw the titanium scales by Flytanium and things like that, those mods that you could do to the 51, I got my hands on them. I put them onto my build, and I'm like, it's I don't know if I really like it any more than it was before. So I was like, there's got to be a way to make this more like flippable and up to par with the current specs that people want in a balisong. So the longer 5.5-inch handles, 5.6-inch handles you see now, you know, neutral balance, just make it flippable. And I figured, you know what, just make spacers that, you know, extend a little bit further out the handle, so it just gives it a better feel. Make the spacers lighter so it distributes the balance a little bit better, and Space Invaders were born. And it turned out to be a success, and a lot of people like them, including myself.
Simple, smart thing, you know.
Yeah, it's simplicity.
I want to get some. I mean, I'm still gonna wait and get a 52, 51. Sorry, when I can get those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then not only that, those you did a lot of different colors. How many colors did you do?
Let me think. So individual colors, there were pieces in, because the way that they're built is there's the spacer portion, and then there's the two plates, I call them. So,
okay. I see.
So some models had like a mix of the colors, but I know for a fact, if I recall correctly, this was a collaboration with JT Designs on Instagram. He currently makes replicant scales. He's made a couple other knife scales and stuff for other knives as well. But this was like it started off as a collaborative effort, and we did black, blue, orange, jade, and then there's like two sets in existence where it's like layered black and red.
Okay.
And I think that those are the only colors we've done so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
So backing up a little, where did you, when you started, what were your influences? Who did you learn from? Did you study it? Did you just watch YouTube channels? Was there somebody in person directly that helped you learn how to use the machines and everything?
In terms of the machining or anything, I never went to school. I'm all for like machining and stuff. I'm self-taught with all of that. Yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still not like 100% there. So the Sentinel, just to clarify, the Sentinel was contracted out to machine shop. That was not manufactured by me. So because that was like a shot in the dark, really, because I didn't know how well the Sentinel was going to be received. It was kind of like, all right, a lot of people have been asking me for this. I'm down for it. I'm going to take a shot at it, and I'm going to cross my fingers and pray to God something happens. And luckily, it was a success, and that's what I'm known for now, which is really cool. So now seeing that there's a demand for my balisongs, I'm like, okay, it'd be pretty cool if I can get these all made in-house, or, you know, just take it to the next level. So that's what I'm currently working up to now.
That's great. Yeah. See, I like that, you know, hearing this different side, you know, all the different levels to types of makers, you know. And where are you sending this when it's being made? Is it here in the U.S.? Is it out of the U.S.?
So the Sentinels, the blades are made in the U.S. and the handles were made overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The biggest factor for that was simply I just didn't have enough money. Like I didn't have enough capital to get everything done in the States. It would have been impossible for me to get it done. So it was just from a business perspective, it was the only way I could get it done. And I figured, you know, having a knife is better than not having a knife.
Right.
So, you know, it happens. But a lot of new makers, I think it's something that a lot of people don't consider, how expensive U.S. manufacturing is, especially if you have no street cred, you're a brand new designer, you have pretty much no chance at getting any kind of help from any U.S. shop that's actually worth a damn in terms of knife making. It's really hard to get that contract work out.
Right.
So you kind of have to do what you got to do. I got lucky with the blades, thank God, and I'm glad I got that far. So
nice.
Yeah.
And so what about some of the other stuff? What about this, like the Space Invaders? Do you make those?
The Space Invaders were machined by JT Designs.
Okay.
So the guy that I was collaborating with, he made them himself in his shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And then what about other things like the chucks, like the early version of the chucks and stuff?
Mm-hmm. So the first thumb chucks ever, those were made by me in my garage with whatever tools I had. And there were several different iterations to the thumb chucks, and they were all constructed differently. So the first thumb chucks that were actually sold it was like 1/8-inch thick titanium rod that was twisted, and there was a loop at the end, and you'd make
I've seen pictures, yeah.
With the 2 titanium key rings. Those were the first ones ever, because I had no machinery at that point. I didn't even own like a drill press, like nothing. I had a vise, and that was it.
Nice.
And it wasn't meant to be anything that was going to sell or anything, so it was just kind of like something for me, you know. But yeah, that's how that started. But then I upgraded to getting a drill press, getting a titanium rod, cutting it to size, and then drilling holes through it, and then attaching the 2 handles. And it slowly progressed into me having to get my first lathe, manual lathe, and then start turning them myself using the keyring technique before they were paracord. And then after that, I was like, okay, people want more thumb chucks. I can't keep up with the demand. So then I contracted that work out as well, because I knew in order for me to grow as a business, it wasn't going to happen if I was just going to be stagnant with this. And at that time too, I was going to school. I was still young. I didn't know where this was really going. So it was just a way for me to, again, acclimate, take it to the next level.
Oh, that's great. That's interesting. That's great. Perfect answers. I love it. Yeah, it's cool to see the different journeys. I mean, you are young, you know. It's like you're figuring out how to put your company together, you know. I mean, and you're making moves to try and benefit the thing, to benefit yourself and the journey and the growth of your business. So, you know, a lot of people will be like, knock the things like, oh, you don't make them yourself, you're not a machinist or this or that. Right. But you're inventing concepts and ideas, and you're part of the fabrication and the understanding of what it is you're offering. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that in my book.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are. I've gotten shit from people, like, a lot, with whatever it was. It was like, oh, it's not made. You don't make them? Oh, you know, whatever. And they blow me off. It's like, okay, well, you got to think of it this way. You're either a machinist or you're a designer. But, you know, you need both sides of the coin. Some people are machinists, but they can't come up with innovation. That whole art of design is a foreign concept to them. I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. I started with design. I started with coming up with ideas, and then having somebody who knew how to take an idea and turn it into a tangible object. I asked them for that help to fill that gap, because you know, it's 2 skills. It's 2 independent skills that take their own time to develop. And it isn't until very recently, I've kind of learned machining slowly as I went along, but taking it to the level where I can do like small batch production and actually afford the equipment and do it myself isn't something that I've been able to even attempt to take on until now. So, and now I'm starting to take the design element and combine it with this newly acquired machining element that I'm still trying to put the pieces together, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it kind of ties into a lot of different questions I have on my list here. So, all right, because with going back slightly to the design aspect, I mean, I think a lot of Jimpy things that I really liked when I first, like how deeply engraved your logo is on the knife.
Mhm.
Like, to me, that's one of my favorite logos on a knife.
Yeah.
You know, it really is up there, and one I really like. One, I'm a huge fan of penguins. I have penguins tattooed on my arm, and
Yeah.
the logo is a penguin. But I think art, I mean, and I appreciate that. Your art, I asked you that when we were first talking before this interview. Did you do the artwork on the, and you said yes. And it makes sense that you do all the art. You're coming up with this concept, making it fun to own a balisong, and you know, and I think in my review on YouTube, I say the same thing. You make it fun to own the knife beyond just this piece of metal that you throw in there. You make there's kind of a little character story behind your products that almost make them animated in some sort of way.
Yeah, that's pretty well said. I can't really add to it. Now that's pretty much
I
it.
appreciate that in the concept of things. You know, like who would have thought to make a stress ball?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to be creative.
And it kind of works with balisongs because it can almost be a stressful thing, flipping this sharp knife, and it's like this. It kind of all works.
That was my thought process, exactly.
Yeah, super cool. I really like that a lot. And then it flips really good too. This is a great knife. Every time I flip a bunch of other knives for a while and I come back to this knife, I'm like, oh yeah, this knife always feels really good to flip.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, design. We were talking about your shop. What's your shop like now? Like, where do you work out of?
I work out of my home, so I'm currently in the process of transforming my garage into like a small machine shop.
Okay.
Capable of, you know, fabricating knives, in particular balisongs. So.
And have you had any recent purchases you want to share with us, or like?
I can share like what my current setup is, like all the machines that I currently have. I'm sure that I'm missing something here and there. I know as I continue the process, I'm like, shit, I should have picked this up. Like, oh, I need this now. It's like, it's interesting. It's because this is completely new to me. This is all foreign territory. So it's kind of like I'm learning as well. But currently I have a manual mill, I have a manual lathe, I have a CNC lathe, I have a CNC mill, I have a CNC router, I have a belt sander, I have my grinder, which I'm going to be using for surface grinding the blades for flatness and parallelism. I just got my even heat treat oven the other day. I have all of my tuning supplies. So I have my lapping plate, I got my screwdrivers, I got all that stuff. Sharpener, gotta have that, gotta add the edge to the blade somehow. And I have a blasting cabinet.
So you have a fair amount of stuff there. I'm
almost ready to rock and roll and start learning hands-on and like experimenting with and just learning all of the equipment. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there a particular element to the tools or the machines that you really like? Like, is there one where you're like, I love doing this part? Because obviously designing, you're going to say, I love to design. Everybody loves to design. But what about the actual work part that you've experienced so far that you find is the most satisfying moment?
Definitely the tuning of the knife, just tuning in general. It's definitely, obviously, there's a lot of people in the community, I guess like tune snobs, I'll call them. Everybody wants a super fine-tuned knife. And a lot of people don't understand how much like science and like micromanaging there is in order to tune a knife correctly. A lot of people think you just take a piece of sandpaper, you take a bushing, you hit it on the sandpaper for a little bit, you put in the knife, it's perfect. But, you know, there's basic, like, scientific concepts like parallelism. And, like if you take a bushing, and this is the top and this is the bottom, you can't have one side of the bushing like this and the other side like this, because now your height is all mixed up. And the height has to be a certain height compared to the blade thickness, and the washers have to be a certain thickness, and you have to measure out the fork in the handle, obviously where the blade sits in the handles. And it's just like the relation between everything and how everything has to be perfectly flat and perfectly, you know, parallel, and everything has to come together in order for it to sound good and not have, you know, play or tap. It's something that nobody really understands, and it's something that I try to enlighten people on. And it's something that I'm still kind of perfecting and learning as I go. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite part, because it's just
the Sentinel is a great sounding knife. I really like the sound. It's really solid feeling, but yeah, it has a somewhat glassy feel to it.
Yeah, it feels glassy, but it's a little, I don't know, like you said, solid.
It's a deep sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. Very good. For those of us who obsess about odd sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll play people like a knife video, and I'll be like, "Listen to that knife," and they're like, they have no idea what I'm talking about. What do you mean, listen to that knife?
They're like, okay. And yeah.
So okay, we were kind of going through your history of products. We kind of got in there, but right about, so you did thumb chucks, then what?
Beglery beads. That was the next thing that I jumped into.
Didn't you do a ring and some knucks and stuff too, or something?
Yeah, I've done knucks too. I actually have my personal prototype on me. I was carrying it today. So this was the first knuck. This is the prototype for it. It's called the Nugget.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was, yeah, so I did a knuck. I'm actually working on another design now. I may or may not talk about or release, but we'll see. I've tried designing a pry bar before. I've tried designing like pocket tools just for like EDC stuff. None of it really went anywhere because most people at that point in time knew me for thumb chucks and beglery, and that's what they wanted. So I was like, all right, here you go. So that was more of just like an experimental thing.
Yeah, I had pry bars in my shop, the little keychain ones.
Right.
They're hard to sell. They are. They're.
Yeah.
I mean, with you, like, just because you're Jimpy, if you put your logo on one, people will want it for that and think it's cool, that like as like a promo product almost for you.
Right.
You know, some small element to add to your shop. And actually, I think it's a great idea. So,
yeah.
Yeah, because I have one on my keychain and I like them right here, in fact.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I use one from time to time when I don't want to mess up the tip of my pocket knife, you know? That's what pry bars are great for.
And that's
people
what
people always go, what do you use them for? It's like, for not messing up your good knife.
Yes. Yeah, it's just not to use your knife to pry things open, because it's a knife is not meant to be a pry bar.
Right.
So you use a pry bar as a complementary accessory. That's exactly, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, people don't get it.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's cool. It's a cool concept, but it's definitely that nerdy EDC thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so then you went to the chucks. You messed around with the pry bar. Then you moved into balisong, right? Is there some? Oh, Space Invaders.
There was Space Invaders. Space Invaders were the first balisong directly related product that I did. Okay. And then, okay, cool. People like my mods. Let me get into actually making or designing a knife. Okay. And then that's when Sentinel came in.
And then we've been seeing some pictures of a Bowie Sentinel. What's up with that?
Yeah, so that was just a prototype. That was just a standard Sentinel that was actually just reprofiled into a Bowie just because I wanted to see what it would look like, get a good like understanding if it was something that I wanted to do. And I took it with me to Blade Show 2021, and I had a couple people flip it, and they said that they liked it a lot. But I'm not sure if it's something that I'm going to do anytime soon, or if at all. Because what I'm currently working on is just an entirely new knife that I've talked about a little bit on like my live streams and stuff, but I'm sure a lot of people missed that, so we can get into that at some point if that's
that's not my question. That's one of my questions. Now is a great time. Do you have a new design in the works, and what's the story with it?
Okay, so the first design that I'm currently getting worked on is named the Machina, which is Latin for machine. The Machina is going to be something that hopefully I'll be able to get more of my stuff out. With the Sentinel, I kind of went into it saying, okay, I'm only going to do a certain amount, and if it goes well, I'll consider doing this, more in the future. So I'm at pretty much the closing end of the whole Sentinel saga, and the Machina is going to be whatever critiques I had that I was given with the Sentinel is now corrected in the Machina, and it kind of adapts a little bit better to the current flipping preference in terms of specs and tune and everything else. Just taking everything right with the Sentinel, everything that was wrong, correcting it, and just making it a new knife.
Very cool. Very curious to see that, for sure. Yeah. And that's something you want to make 100% in-house?
At some point, yeah.
Do you so you're not sure yet whether that new knife will be that one or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Currently, the plan is it's going to be made 100% in the States, because now I finally have the capital to actually invest in U.S. manufacturing, and I figured that was one gripe a lot of people had with the Sentinel, like, oh, it's not 100% U.S. I'm like, yeah, I know, I feel the same way, but you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't take away from what you have in your hand. If you took that knowledge out and look at what you have in your hand, it's like, okay, you still have everything that you could pretty much ask for, but it's still something that I feel every maker tries to upgrade to, is just to improve where it's being manufactured and all of that. So the Machina will be made 100% in the States.
Santa made a comment here. So what do you think of these companies like that do butt plugs and things like that? The Jimpy butt plug.
No, I'm not.
Not touching that one. Huh?
No, I'm not doing. I won't do butt plugs, but
maybe a cock ring or something.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, part of my mission with my brand is to, diversify as much as possible. If I can expand past balisongs and do other things that people really love, like, I'd absolutely be down. Like, I'm currently working with Simple Stock on Instagram. He's been making a lot of balisong merch for other knife makers, and he reached out to me recently, and he said he would like to do a collab. I said, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I've always wanted to get into like apparel and like streetwear and stuff like that. That's just something I've always been interested in, but
your design work is great. I mean, honestly, I think that's a big part of it, having the ability to see something and turn it into art that's digestible to people, that they go, I want to wear that, I want to own it, that's a thing, And my bet with you is that you're getting into all this stuff, that you're growing and doing that, If I was a rich investor, I would be like, all right, go for it.
Well, I appreciate the hypothetical offer.
Yeah, I think you're on a good track, man, honestly.
Thank you.
Just stick with penguins, you'll be good.
Oh yeah, no.
Was it supposed to look like, was it a penguin always?
No, okay, so the logo has an interesting story, and I think that you'd get a kick out of it. So originally, the logo was supposed to be a chicken, and the reason why and how I got my name, and and subsequently the logo. In high school, I was playing Crash Bandicoot 2 on my laptop in the back of the classroom. I had an emulator on my laptop, and I had to come up with a save file name. And I was like, okay, well, my initials are JMP. So I'm like, okay, if you say JMP fast, it kind of sounds like Jimpy. It's like Jimpy, right? Jimpy. I'm like, okay. So I put Jimpy, and that's where Jimpy came from. And I didn't do anything with it at all. I was just like, okay, that's my save name. And then I had a high school friend, and he had a habit of just reaching. He'd go like find a friend, and he'd be like, "Oh, so and so's cock and balls," and that was his thing. He would just go around and say, "Oh, Alex's cock and balls," and he thought it was funny. So then he caught wind of Jimpy, and he's like, "Oh, Jimpy's cock and balls," and I was like, "Okay, that's kind of funny." And then cock, rooster, chicken. That's why it was a chicken. And the reason why it's a ball is because cock and balls. So my logo is literally Jimpy's cock and balls. If you want to be.
Oh my God. That is freaking. That. Of course. Of course.
Of course.
Cock and balls. But then recently I've been seeing the posts with the penguin.
Yeah.
Which
so
kind of has that same face.
Yeah. So that's different. So that penguin. For those who don't know, that is Tux the penguin, who is the mascot for Linux, the computer operating system. So the whole point behind Linux is it's open source, it's free to use, and it's never anything. Anybody can use it and learn it and customize it any way they want. And there's no higher big tech corporation trying to force advertisements down your throat or telling you can't do this. It's completely free. It's just open source. Anybody can have it. So recently the Sentinel was cloned, and I was like, shit, I figured that was going to happen at some point. And I seen a lot of people trying to justify clones all the time. I mean, I've had Thumbchucks cloned before. I mean, plenty of other makers, their stuff has been cloned before. And the whole point with that post, seeing the penguin, it was like a crossover between, it was just Tux the penguin from Linux, and I just put the Jimpy bird beak over it. So it's like, okay, so this is like my open source project.
Got it. I love it.
The balisong project is something that hopefully I'll be able to release pretty soon, definitely within this year. But I would like to make a completely free and open source balisong design that I will release the files for free, and anybody can go and download them and either manufacture it using CNC equipment or 3D print the components and get stuff from the hardware store to put things together. Whatever they have access to, they'll be able to make their own balisong wherever they're at in the world, dependent on whatever resources they have available to them.
You'll be like the Napster of balisongs.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like a way to give people no excuse to purchase a clone, because intellectual property, as somebody who designs things and invents new concepts, it's very agitating when there's people who say, oh, you sell so many of this, why do you care that your stuff gets cloned? I couldn't afford it anyway. There's all of these same recycled justifications for clones, and I thought this would be a really cool way to get the community involved and to make something that completely squashes the concept of purchasing a clone. So this is my go at it, and that's what the whole penguin post that you saw is about.
Interesting. I love that. Thank you for making that clear. I thought you just liked penguins.
No, I love birds in general. That's my favorite animal. So if
Well, I'm gonna forever think of it as a penguin.
That's fine. It's an ambiguous species. It's whatever you see it as.
Yeah, I love it. I love this little guy. I love I don't know if you saw my review, but I had my green tree frog out walking the dive. He jumped on the blade, and I was like,
yeah.
And he was just walking along the blade, and I had the camera on. I had no intention for him to be gripping his little hands around the blade. He was okay.
That's good. I'm glad that he was all right.
Yeah, people are like, oh, you were going to hurt him. I'm like, no, it wasn't on purpose. He jumped, literally. I had him beside it, and then he jumped on the knife. And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, so we were kind of talking, and I like how everything's leading into one thing to the next. So talking about feisty community customers and people in the community, you were talking about people talking about clones and this, and there's been kind of like an undercurrent of discussion about how makers are treated with the orders, with like, you know, customer like demands, and how commenting and social media can just, you know, you can live and die that way, you know, from comments and excuse me, you can so how do you deal with that? You know, I mean, you're active socially, and you know, you go online, you post. So you're dealing with a fair amount of people who make comments, like you had mentioned earlier, about not being sourced in the U.S. or, you know, blah blah blah, or people having complaints about quality control. What's your feeling of how you are treated at times as a maker, and your feeling about that? Because it affects people really intensely, because starting your own brand is a very emotional investment, not only financial and times of your hours and long hours of work. Can you explain that a little, your feelings behind that a little to the viewers?
So you're asking how I deal with just people's feedback, whether it's positive or negative?
Sure, I could have said it much more simple.
Okay, all right, easy enough. So that kind of ties into just personal development. That's like completely separate from, like, you know, a brand or a business or things that you make. That's just like character development. Just being able to take criticism well, whether it's positive or negative, is something that I feel a lot of people lack the ability to do, and that a lot of people nowadays, at least, they can't take criticism to save their life. Everything's a personal attack, and it cripples them, and it's like, shame on you, like, now I have the right to kick your ass or whatever. It's like, just take it in and process it for a second. If it's positive, cool. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. But if it's negative, you say, okay, is this a subjective comment? Is this an objective comment? Is this something that's completely, you know, does this hold any weight? Is it true? Or is it completely fabricated and has no weight? Like, you kind of have to evaluate it from there. But I have this analogy that I pretty much live by when it comes to stuff like that, and I think a lot of people will find it interesting. And it pretty much answers the question in its entirety. So a bird that's perched upon a tree that's singing in the morning, right? It's doing its thing, it's singing a song, and it's just doing what birds do. And the bird is perched on a tree that's outside of a house. Somebody wakes up, they walk outside, and they look at the bird, and they're like, oh, bird, thank you for singing this beautiful song. This is a great way for me to wake up and start my day. And, you know, the bird doesn't give a shit. The bird's like, all right, cool. I'm just doing my thing. You know, I'm just going to keep singing. And then you take that same scenario, and you have somebody who had no sleep the night before. They wake up, they hear the bird. It's like, oh, like, I woke up before my alarm. This sucks. And they come outside and they're screaming like, fuck you, bird. Why do you got to wake me up? I had such a shitty day. Like, this is terrible. Like, fuck you. The bird, again, doesn't give a shit. Bird doesn't care. It's still going to sing. It's still going to do its thing. So the moral of that story is, doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. You just take it in. You're able to digest it. And at the end of the day, I'm still going to keep doing what I do and just push forward regardless of if it's positive or negative. So that's that.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Where can we go with this? Sorry, catching up. I didn't scratch a lot off. How do you so yeah, I guess that ties in too. How do you work and live healthy? Like, do you focus on that, having a good balance of different things in your life? And it seems like you're kind of conscious of these things, like how to not be stressed out by work. And a lot of makers or people that start their own businesses become very like can't let go and stressed all the time about these things.
Yeah.
Do you find that balance in your life as a maker?
I do my best. I think I do a pretty good job, but I'm not perfect. You know, there's times where I slip up and things get a little out of control, but I always make a conscious effort to, you know, get back on track. I think it's just important to, you know, again, that kind of ties into just character development. It's like, what are you doing when you're not working? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you beating yourself up physically? Are you beating yourself up mentally? Who are you hanging out with? What kind of content are you taking in? You know, what do you do? Do you have a job that you hate? Like, are things just not going your way? Or are you taking life by the balls and are you going to, you know, push things in the direction that you wish they were going to, you know, manifest themselves as? It's just a way to, you know, navigate around the bad and stay true to the good. So, you know, me personally, I think eating healthy, you know, as like, you know, lame as that sounds, having a good diet, exercising, it doesn't have to be like working out at the gym, just play a sport, do something like that, keeps your mind right, spend time with people you love, and don't get so consumed with work because life isn't all about work at the end of the day.
You drop out too sometimes from social media, or you feel like you're pretty active all the time?
I don't post as often as I would like to, but mainly that's because a lot of the stuff that I'm working on, I'm trying to keep it a secret just because I would hate for somebody to look at my idea and take it and run with it before I can. If I could post more about more things, I would. But I'm definitely active in the comments. I'm liking people's stuff, I'm messaging people all the time. I feel like I'm pretty good with like answering DMs and just talking to people and stuff like that. So from that side of things, yeah, definitely active.
Do you have hobbies outside of balisong or knife making or creating? Do you have any pets? Do you like?
Yeah, I have a pet. So
what do you enjoy doing?
So I have a pet. His name is Ro. He's sleeping under my desk right now. So otherwise I'd pick him up and I'd show everybody. But I'll leave him be. In terms of hobbies, what was that?
Is he a dog?
Yeah, he's a dog.
Oh, okay. What kind of dog?
He's a Shiba.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In terms of hobbies, I do calisthenics, so body weight exercises and stuff like that. Just like it's kind of like working out in gymnastics. It's like a middle ground. Best way I can explain it to people. I mean, I really just love making like stuff. Just I've always loved inventing things and designing things, and that's always just like been my hobby for the most part.
Okay.
That's the big one. But I do like gaming and stuff like that. I like to just chill out. Yeah, Phantom Forces, as somebody said, Roblox. That's my main.
So right now when you're making stuff and you're growing, is there people you're looking to into the community that you have conversations with, that you're learning tips from, like everything from what equipment to buy to how to use it?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So there's like a general layer of setting up. So it's like, okay, from like a machining perspective or like a production level of machining. That stuff you can kind of just pick up from, you know, basic YouTube videos about machining. You know, the two main pieces of machinery that you need is a lathe and a mill. And then there's two types of each. There's manual and then CNC. So if you have all four of those, you pretty much have everything you absolutely need, aside from the small things. But then when it comes to specifics with knife making, there's a lot, surprisingly, especially in the past couple years, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of forum posts about people making knives like on CNC machines, and they're sharing the knowledge just to educate people. And it's all really good information. That's a lot of where I get my stuff from. But I've definitely reached out to people. I think I've asked Squid. Like,
probably most other makers are busy. I always feel bad when I write you guys. Like I'll be like, oh hey, if you guys have a moment, can you send me something, or you know, do you want to do this live interview? You guys are so busy making.
Yeah.
I don't understand half the time how you guys have time to do social media and respond to all the comments and different things like that. That alone takes up brain power and time and drain.
Yeah. It's whenever I have the time. You know, I tell people all the time, I absolutely love getting back to people. Don't have any issues with it, but it's just a matter of when I have that time. So if I have like 5 seconds to look at my phone real quick and answer one message, hey, that's one less I got to deal with later. You know, it's as simple as that. But yeah, no, for anybody listening, absolutely do not hesitate to reach out, and I'll just get back to you whenever I can. Don't feel like you're bothering me or interrupting me or anything like that, because that's not true.
Are you going to be at Blade Show, Atlanta? It's not too far from you.
No, no. I've been 2 years, 3 years. I think the only one I missed was obviously 2020 because it didn't happen. But yeah, no, I absolutely do plan on going to Blade Show East, so I will be there most likely.
Well, I'll have a table there, so hopefully you can stop by and we'll say hi and all that.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Let's see. So the stress ball, we talked about that. That's on my list here. I love the stress ball.
Mm-hmm.
Were you selling these alone, or did you have to get a knife?
No, I sell them individually, but
okay. I feel like I saw them maybe on your website. Yeah,
but if you do order a knife from me, you get one as a freebie. So
right.
Yeah.
I should have wore your hoodie because I have one of your hoodies too. Let's see. All right. All the art you do. So take us through the process from like your concept and designing. Do you do all the you do the design, but do you do the computer work behind it? What's it called?
The CAD?
CAD, thank you.
Yeah.
How could I forget the name?
Yeah, so I do all the CAD work. I do all the actual intellectual work, so just the concept and stuff like that. Prototyping, I do as much of that as I can myself, but when it comes to actually machining some of the components, I just don't have the stuff or the knowledge, so that would then just get outsourced to people that I know who would be willing to do it for me. With manufacturing, it's 3 processes. It's CAD, computer-aided design, then it's CAM, computer-aided manufacturing, and then it's CNC, so just operating the machinery. With design work, it's all CAD. It's all CAD, and it's whatever's in your brain and how you understand the CAD program in order to take your idea and turn it into a 3D model, which is the start of the whole process.
Awesome. And then you get prototypes, you have those for a while, then you okay it.
Yep.
Right.
You gotta test it.
Do you have any helpers that help you out ever, or is it all done by you?
I have people help me with when I have to like ship a lot of orders and stuff sometimes, but even then that's like a really rare occasion. I try to do as much stuff as I can myself. I'm a huge advocate for self-reliance, and that's something that I'm not completely there yet, and that's fine. It's just the big thing that I'm working towards now.
And you enjoy working?
Oh yeah, I love what I do, so it doesn't even feel like I'm really working.
Do you? Oh, that's another thing. Do you have another job right now?
No, currently I'm going gung ho on Jimpy, and I'm putting all my money onto this. So
all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
I think it's a wise move personally. I think you can keep doing what you're doing and more. Okay. What else? Where do you hope to see Jimpy headed? I mean, we kind of talked about that, but how big? I mean, do you want to rule the world? I mean, do you want to like be a type of company that has 20 employees, or do you want to see it stay, modest? I mean, 20 still honest in some companies.
Yeah. So it's funny because originally I told myself I'd never make a balisong, but here I am now. So, you know, originally I was like, yeah, I'll just do this for myself. I'll keep it small enough for me to do this myself and just roll with it. But I don't know, something recently kind of got me thinking, if I can get it to that point where I can hire people, I'd love to take on like family members and stuff, friends, just people who've been there for me that I care about. If they're interested, because I've had people ask, like, oh, can I work for you? Like, do you need help with this? Like, can I be a part of what you got going? I'm like, well, sorry, right now I think I got it under control, but if I get it to that point, yeah, absolutely, I'd be open to it. So
It's the same like that with Shop Soet. It's just me and my wife, and people will ask like, oh, I need a job. You know, we're barely, you know, it's just us doing it. You know?
Yeah.
We run a whole shop and a hotel, and you know, so we do a lot of different things, and then just hire somebody to jump in and expect them to like grasp everything that's going on is a lot, let alone pay them.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that most people don't think of. They just think like, oh, you must have money. You have a business. Hire me. You know, it's not like that.
People
and there's a lot.
I have a nice knife collection behind me that I'm like, well,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
No, I mean that's a lot of knives, and it's an expensive collection. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what I spend most of my free money on, or my available funds. And then so that's why I had to open a knife shop, was to make sense of it. I had to start selling knives. I was like, well, I can't keep this up. I'll go flat broke, be divorced, and
yeah. I got you.
Well, cool, man. Anything else? Anything else you want to add that we're not hitting on? It was a lot we covered, and I feel like there's still some things we could go down some rabbit holes. But anything you can think of?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I hit on a lot, but if there's any specific questions you have or anybody in the comments has, I'm
let's take some viewer questions. I'll start looking at them now, you guys. If anybody wants to ask them or say anything stupid at this point, now's the time.
Right.
But yeah, I super appreciate you doing this, man. It's super cool, and I just do this for fun. The only thing I can hope is maybe some people find out about our shop or whatever, but I really honestly, I don't get money from these. I just do it because I'm interested and I think it's fun and I think other people will enjoy it. So that's, you know, I appreciate you stepping in here and hanging out for a bit.
Yeah, of course, man. This is really cool so far. It's all good.
All right, do you see that? Kanto wants to know if you can front lever.
Yes, I can.
Does Jimpy have a wife?
No, I'm single.
Single and ready to mingle.
That's it.
Big Beefy coming. I don't know what that's about.
Big Beef is coming. Big Beef is when I was learning Blender, the 3D modeling program, I made a character, and he's just like this big hulking muscular character with like a cute little smiley face, and I called him Big Beef, and then I posted about it on one of my alternate accounts. So that's what that.
Very cool. Thank you, DJ. And somebody thinks you're bad. Flips thinks you're a sexy mofo.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, all the sex appeal is coming from Jimpy right now. It's not really up here on the side of the screen. So,
let's see, somebody said something.
What's that say? Jimpy stuffed animals. That would be cool.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Simple Stock about that, and that might actually happen. Believe it or not.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think it fits perfect.
I was think I was mentioning in my text thread to you, but I don't know if you know, because I have penguins. I had a band, and our little logo was penguins. And then everybody, I would kind of like penguins. I had a taxidermy stuffed penguin. So everybody kept buying me penguin stuff to an obscene amount. Finally, I had to tell people like that I don't like penguins that much. Like, I don't want like a whole corner of my house dedicated to penguins. It's like I just happen to like them for one reason or another, and all of a sudden everybody started buying me penguin crap, like a lot. I was like, this is a really shitty birthday gift. Another penguin thing.
Oh, another penguin. I should have guessed.
Yeah. Unless it was a sentinel with a penguin, then I'd be okay.
Yeah, that's the only exception.
Yeah, I'm glad, Tyler. Thanks. I'm glad you enjoy these interviews, man. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate the support. And, there's a weird sound happening. Yeah. Are you flipping right now, Jimpy?
Yeah, should I not be?
No, that's great. No,
Okay.
that was somebody else's comment. Yeah. So you flip a lot every day? That's a question I have.
Oh yeah, every day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Once you start, everybody flips every day.
Yeah, it's stress relief.
My wife's talking about a vacation in Hawaii for 10 days. And I'm like, immediately my mind goes, I won't be able to flip for 10 days. Like
yeah.
live blades. I mean, because I know live blades are illegal in Hawaii. I can't imagine trainers are too.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure people have gotten away with taking like squiddies without a doubt. I don't know about metal trainers though. I have no experience in that.
Yeah, it is probably my voice reverberating through his speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I turned down, but I'll talk quieter too. Is that better?
Okay.
See. Have you heard of the Spinnerco Goblin prototype?
Nope. Never heard of it.
Someone watching the stream on two phones. The Sentinel balisong loves it.
I'm glad to hear.
Kanto is asking if you can full Palanchi.
Full planche? Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a calisthenics move.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were trying to get me to say dirty stuff again.
No. Well, somebody said Goblin D's nuts.
Oh, yeah, Goblin D's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you being on here. Let's just call it at that. It looks like we got a few questions in there, but I think we covered so much. There's not much more to say.
Yeah, I think we did.
I'm sure we'll hop off here and we'll be like, oh God, I forgot these other things. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys all for watching another episode of DRIGK Live with Jimpy here. Adios, amigos. Have a great evening.
Yep. See you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yep, of course. Thank you again.